Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. He's Aaron William Freeland, and this is Leaf Talk, where we talk about the Maple Leafs. Proudly talk about the Maple Leafs, who are on a massive winning streak, outscoring their opposition incredibly. The goaltending's been stupendous. Even when the goaltender gets hurt, it continues to be stupendous. Yes, Godzilla was in goal last night.
You're kind of gilding the lily there, Frank, but I
Just a little
appreciate it.
bit. Just a little bit.
Joseph Woll started with 22 saves. Dennis Hildeby went the rest of the way and cleaned it up. This is the fourth game in a row that the Maple Leafs have scored on their first shot in the first minute. This is a record that hasn't been seen since 2009, 2010, at least for the Maple Leafs. I know the Tampa Bay Lightning did it back in 2020, 2021, but like this is just absolutely ludicrous. Bobby McMahon had 2 goals. Austin Matthews, Scott Lawton, and Matthew Nyes also had goals. Seth Jarvis scored for Carolina, and Freddie Anderson stopped 18 shots.
This is not the first one.
No, not the first one. That was
not the one that rang around, and not the one that rang around the boards.
You know, I find it hard to fault Freddie for those 2, I'll be honest with you. The first one went off the post and then off his butt and then rolled over the line. The other one hit a stanchion by the Zamboni doors and bounced out front, and that got taken advantage of. It's one of those things, you know.
Bronx cheer, anyone?
He didn't deserve it. You know, he honestly didn't deserve it. But all things being equal, you know, we've been harder on our goalies than they've been on Freddie Anderson. So at the end of the day, I can't say it's not entirely undeserved. I mean, here's the thing: we got rid of Freddie for a reason. I think Carolina's finding that out now. So
that's like Aaron's version of the Bronx cheer.
Wow, I'm very understatedly polite about it. Let's put it that way.
Come on. The guy has had bad games, and so has every other goaltender on the planet. And the fact is, it's about what happens. Let's be honest here. Let's be honest. It's what happens in the playoffs. Because even if a goaltender has a negative impact on a team during the regular season, it says a lot about the team as well.
It really does. And, you know, how you react and how you spring back from that sort of thing is very telling. I think what's really nice to see is that, you know, with this recent bout of good fortune, the Maple Leafs no longer find themselves in the basement. They actually find themselves 3 points clear of it, with Florida and Buffalo now firmly occupying the basement of the Eastern Conference. As it currently stands in their division, the Leafs are 6th. They're still a few points out of a wild card spot, but everything is so tight in the Atlantic Division now, and so tight in the Metropolitan Division that there's not a lot to differentiate between the teams here. So,
absolutely not. There is no difference. It's amazing that if a team goes on a 5-game winning streak, they go from being at the bottom of the standings to in towards close on to the wild card position. And we're seeing it in actual real time, right? The Leafs have won 3 games in a row. 3. You know, that's not that many games in a row. And yet those 3 games have vaulted them from the bottom of the standings to basically a couple of points out of a playoff spot.
Yep, they're currently 4 points out of a wild card spot right now and have gone from 28th in the league over the course of a week to 21st. And again, early parts of the season, so you know things are going to change dramatically as they continue to go. But by the same token, it is heartening that, you know, not all is lost at this point. You know?
Well, if things were normal, and by normal I mean as other seasons have panned out, played out, whatever term you want to use. At this point in the season, when Christmas is barreling down on you, your season could be toast a lot of times by Christmas. So, you know, the fact that the Leafs are on the march, and I did say a few weeks ago, it's important that the Leafs start playing well before Christmas, and they've done that. Now the question is, Aaron, can they be a 600 team for a little while? Because they need to be a 600, stretch of 750. to get into a playoff spot and put themselves in a desirable position and within striking distance of assuring themselves a playoff spot. If they can play this kind of hockey, not 3 in a row, 6 in a row, 9 in a row, 12 in a row, but if they can play, like I said, 600 to 750 hockey from here on into, let's say, February, then there'll be a team will be in a good place in the playoffs. Why? Because a lot of these teams in the league right now, they haven't figured it out, and they're all trying to figure it out. And then you got to get far enough ahead of Florida that once they get all their players back, that's a team that could make the playoffs, which means another team is not going to make it. They're going to go down.
Well, as it currently stands for the Maple Leafs, they've got a 5-game homestand starting shortly. In that homestand, they're going to be playing in order: Montreal, Tampa Bay, San Jose, Edmonton, and Chicago. Basically, we're looking at the third place team in their division, the first place team in their division. Then they've got the San Jose Sharks, who are 1 point out of a wild card spot, right with the Utah Mammoth. And then, on the other side of the coin, you've got the Edmonton Oilers, who are also 1 point out of a wild card spot.
To correct their season.
Oh, and then the Chicago Blackhawks, who are currently locked into a wild card spot at 30. So it doesn't get any easier from here, but it's going to be entertaining for sure.
Yeah, 500 hockey is because of all these extra points, the Bettman points you like to refer to, which are when you lose and gain a point. If this keeps happening, that means the difference between each and every team is going to be that little. It's going to be little because inflation, as far as the ability to acquire points, keeps everybody together. It's the 2-point wins that start spreading you. But like I said to you, what was it a couple of weeks ago? I said the Leafs got to win games in regulation, and it's played itself out. If they don't win the games in regulation, and because they're playing everybody above them, they're making it harder for them to catch the teams in front of them. So these wins, these 5-1, 4-1, 3-1 wins are awesome because they get points and nobody else does. And that's what they need to do for a little while.
Boston's not doing badly this year. They are currently 16, 13, and 0. Imagine if they'd actually managed to take some of their wins to overtime. They could be running away with this division right now. I think or if even some of their 13 losses, if they'd managed to get to overtime, they'd be running away with the division.
Again, it comes down to that extra point. Can you acquire it? So four consecutive games in a row, under a minute, the Leafs score first. The crease is getting a little tempestuous for the Leafs. They've got what it looks like, at least on the good side. They've got a guy that's out, and they're not even talking about him coming back. There's not even a conversation of, well, he's week to week, day to day. No, he's not any of those things. And so he's month to month. And that's not good news for the Leafs in the net. But the Hildebeest proved that, things aren't that bad if he can play that way.
Yeah, honestly, I'm one of those people that tends to flap my hands and panic when it comes to things like this. But based on how Hildebeest's been performing, I'm not too upset. I know that they haven't really specified whether or not it's a significant injury or if he was just taken out as a precautionary thing. I did see partway through the second period, it did look like he was trying to stretch it out and test it out. Doing that whole foot wiggle thing that you do. But they were up 3 when he didn't come out for the third period. And with Hildeby going in cold the way that he did, he performed incredibly well. Very happy about that. The other goalie that they're going to be bringing up is Arturs Aksiomov, who's been playing with the Marlies lately. Honestly, can't be too upset by that. He's put in a decent season for them so far. I'm just trying to get his stats because I know that's going to be the next thing that I'm looking at here. But Akiyama hasn't actually been all that bad when it comes right down to it. So, at the end of the day, the Leafs aren't necessarily going to be in too bad of a spot with Akiyama coming up, and they're not going to be in too bad a shape with the Marlies either. So um, we'll have to see how it goes, but I have faith at this point that we're going to be okay. And I kind of, as a Toronto fan, a diehard Toronto fan, I have to be okay with that.
And you will be. I
I hope so.
suspect you will be. You will be fine. And if not, you'll recover just wonderfully. What's this about a perfect storm and Darnell Nurse's former partner?
Well, so we often like to talk about waiver wire pickups and how well they've done. The situation that we've got with Troy Stetcher, no second T, by the way. It is Stetcher, not Stetcher. He's been a real eye opener and a game changer here in Toronto. He's worked his way up to the top pairing with Jake McCabe. He was a +4 in their win over the Florida Panthers. I mean, he is granted a bit of a journeyman defenseman, but that's because teams want him. He's fulfilled the need for whatever team he's been playing with, and then he's moved on. Like a hired gunslinger in the Old West, he's been going from city to city and trying to clean things up. But with what happened in Edmonton, it just sort of turned into a situation where it was ideally suited for him to finally move on. So after 6 games played in Edmonton, he gets put on the waiver wire and gets picked up by the Leafs. And he's played 7 games for them so far. He's got a goal and 3 assists. He's a +6. He's averaging 18 minutes and 20 seconds of ice time a night. He's had 8 block shots and 4 hits in those 7 games played. I'd say he's doing okay.
Hey, listen, it's just like when they trade a player. A team doesn't want him, but then there's a new team that does. So one has to concentrate on a team that wants him. And let's just be clear about Troy Stetcher. Troy Stetcher is a player that can play the game. He's proven he can play the game. What they know is he hasn't been able to lock on to a team. But that doesn't mean there's no benefit to having him. Especially for a team like the Leafs that are in a certain situation where they need a defenseman that's working out for them. If this guy's only going to work out for a month or two and then slip into whatever it is, if it's a pattern, in other words, their Leafs would be more than happy to have a guy like that for a month or two.
No, and the way it stands with his 66 games last year in 24-25 with Edmonton, Stetcher only had 7 points. 3 goals, 4 assists. He was a -2, and he was playing an average of 13.5 to 14 minutes a night. He's added more than 4.5 minutes to that by playing with the Leafs so far, and it's been time well used.
Absolutely. Let's go to the Walking Wounded update.
So just taking a look at who is out and who is in. At this point, we currently still have Stolarz with no expected date of return listed on injured reserve. Joseph Woll is currently listed as out, but also listed as a game time decision for Saturday. So that's a bit of an improvement there. He stopped 22 of the 23 shots he faced on Thursday night's game, but we should be able to get an update of his status before game time on Saturday. I'm hoping they'll be a little bit more forthcoming with his information. Tanev is still a ways off. Brandon Carlo unfortunately had a setback, and Jake McCabe appears to be day to day at this point. He exited the game against Columbus last week, and it's been touch and go. Apparently, he's been close to being ready to come back, but hasn't quite been 100%.
Absolutely. That's a bit of a problem. Let's go over to the World Cup draw. So what's up with Canada?
Well, every team that's hosting gets their own spot at the top of their own particular group. Mexico is headlining Group A. Canada is headlining Group B. And the USA is headlining Group D. The draws were all done at around noon today. Canada is in a group with Qatar, Switzerland, and whoever comes out of the UEFA Europe playoff game A. Mexico's in a group with South Africa, the Korean Republic, and European playoff group D winner. Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland are all in group C. Team USA is in a group with Paraguay, Australia, and European playoff winner C. Group E is Germany, Curacao, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ecuador. Group F is the Netherlands, Japan, UEFA playoff winner B, and Tunisia. Group G is Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. Group H is Spain, Cabo Verde, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay. Group I is France, Senegal, FIFA playoff tournament 2 winner in Norway. Group J is Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Group K is Portugal, FIFA playoff tournament 1 winner, Uzbekistan and Colombia. And Group L is England, Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. I'm not sure which group out of all of that would be classified as the group of death, but I am glad that the draw is finally done. We should have finalized schedules shortly, so we'll be able to fill everybody in on that.
Qatar's an interesting pickup for them to play against. That's a tough little team there.
Oh, for sure.
Let's go to the PWHL and the PWHL, and Top Line Sparks Scepters to 3-1 win.
Now, they finally earned a payoff after controlling most of the game. The game couldn't have started on a weirder note. Ottawa's first shot of the game, just a minute and 45 in, slid 5-hole through Elaine Chuli for a tough goal by Fanuza Katarova. But from there, they outshot Ottawa 18-4 in the opening period, piled up a parade of early power plays, but Gwyneth Phillips was brilliant for the first half. They finally broke through in their fourth power play in the second period when Daryl Watts ripped her first goal of the season through a screen to tie it 1-1. From there, the top line struck again in the middle of the second period with Watts floating a puck towards the crease and Spooner battling through 2 defenders to tip it home to give Toronto its first lead at 2-1. Ottawa pushed back in their third, but Chuli held firm when it mattered. And at the end of the day, they reunited Watts, Spooner, and Emma Molte to provide a bit of a spark, and that was all that they needed. Now, Spooner is still coming back off of a knee injury, but the good news is for Toronto fans, she actually looked like she was back on form, which can only bode well for the upcoming Olympics. Elaine Chuli didn't quite start how she wanted, but she's getting back into it. And unfortunately, the game kind of revealed that the Ottawa Charge have had a few discipline issues. So it kind of helped shape how the game went for them.
It's a good thing, though.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, how about Erin Frankel with another shutout? What was good with that?
Well, she stopped 21 shots. This is her second shutout of the season. And the Boston Fleet beat the Vancouver Golden Eyes 2-0 on Wednesday. Frankel matched her own Fleet record with 1 goal allowed in the last 2 games. She's allowed only 1 goal in 3 games so far this season. So it's definitely a good start for her. Emmy Mashmeyer made back-to-back saves, but the second rebound came to Newhook, who slipped it in for a 1-0 lead at 5:02 of the first. That was Newhook's second goal this season. And Silnier added an unassisted goal 6:40 into the third period for her first. Boston is now 3-0-0-0. They dominated the first period, and Vancouver has dropped to 0-1-0-3.
So freaking awesome.
Yeah, no, it's a phenomenal start for Boston. Hopefully they'll be giving Minnesota a run for their money.
Let's talk about the NBA and Hakamura's buzzer-beating 3-pointer. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was a heartbreaker. It came out of his fingers with just 0.4 seconds left on the clock and hit the rim right at the buzzer. We were kind of hoping it might not have been, but yeah. Heartbreaker for the Raptors to lose at 123-120 on a last-second shot like that. Of significance about that game as well, moving on to the next story there, Frank, LeBron James's incredible 10 points a game streak has finally ended after 1,297 games. LeBron James has scored 10 points or more in an NBA game for almost the past, 18 seasons. It's a streak that started way, way back with one of his first games that he played. It's the first time since January 5th, 2007, 6 days after his 22nd birthday, that he's finished a game with fewer than 10 points. Now, the irony here is that while he didn't score 10 points, he assisted on the final buzzer beater. So, oof, it's tough. Uh, the lead now slips to Kevin Durant, who is now the new active leader at only 267 games. So he's got a ways to go if he wants to try to catch up with LeBron.
Absolutely. And the important thing is that LeBron, well, they call him Lebronto here. Okay, the fans really like him here. And he was really didn't have anything to offer early, but then all of a sudden, 10 straight points, and he helped lift his team to the win. He made the big pass too. So that's how they won that game. It was because of LeBron. Let's talk about a future NBA Hall of Famer.
So this is a rather interesting situation for those of you who haven't been following it. The Los Angeles Clippers have parted ways with Chris Paul. This brings his 7 years with the team to an ugly and rather surprising end. Last month, Paul, who is now 40, announced his decision to retire at the end of this season, hoping to bring his career to a close with the LA Clippers. However, the Clippers have blown it all up at this point. There was a text from President of Basketball Operations Lawrence Frank, who said, "We're parting ways with Chris. He'll no longer be with the team. We'll work with him on the next step of his career. He's a legendary Clipper who had a historic career." I want to make one thing very clear. No one is blaming Chris for the fact that the Clippers have only won 2 games in their last 16. Chris Paul, when reached for comment about it, said, "Well, this is the first I've heard of it. I kind of found out through social media." So not the best parting of ways for sure. We'll have to see where it goes from here. It'll be interesting.
Absolutely. And it's important that every time we get a new phenom, it's always fun to see their trajectory, and sometimes that trajectory doesn't quite take off. So I hope it works out on the better side for him. Formula One, and I know you're very excited about that battle, the debate between, will I let him pass me? Will I let him finish third so we can win the overall? I'm sure that question's impacting you at every second you think of this sport.
I'll be getting up early to try to tune in to the races this weekend in Abu Dhabi. For sure, it's something that is on the minds of a lot of F1 fans. There are a lot of folk that are also saying that it looks like McLaren might have or might be in the process of deliberately throwing it to Max Verstappen just to get it out of the way. But other news is Toyota is increasing their presence in F1. They've taken over the title sponsorship of the Haas team after Cadillac is going to be coming in, and Audi is coming in next year as well. The team's new name in 2026 will be the TGR Haas F1 team. TGR stands for Toyota Gazoo Racing, which is the racing division of Toyota Motor Corporation. This is actually going to be the most involved that Toyota has ever been since pulling its team out after the 2009 season. Since then, its circuit racing efforts have largely focused on sports car events, including Le Mans. Not to mention supplying vehicles for NASCAR in the States. Hans and Toyota have signed a technical partnership for research, engineering, and driving development. And the Haas car has carried some Toyota branding since then. Toyota, linked to Japanese drivers, have taken part in tests using older Haas cars. Now, while Haas continues to use Ferrari engines next year under a deal running through to 2028, they're looking closely with whether or not they can patch over to Toyota. Now, Toyota ran its own F1 team from 2002 to 2009, but failed to win a race despite spending a ton of money on it. They eventually withdrew from the series while the parent company was under financial pressure. They just couldn't countenance handling an F1 team at the same time as running a car company to profitability. So
Absolutely. Okay, let's talk about the Olympic hockey rink in Milan. They say it's a little shorter than an NHL standard rink, and they're actually going to be testing in the next few days one of the rinks, and then later they're going to be testing the other rink.
yeah, there's some controversy over this. The rink, instead of being the NHL standard 200 by 85, is actually 197.5 by 83.5. So it's a foot and a half shorter and about a foot and a half narrower and a few feet shorter. I know players are used to Olympic ice being 200 feet by 100 feet, which gives you the extra 15 feet on the sides and thus makes the ice appear a heck of a lot bigger, and it is. But honestly, I would appreciate having it in tighter quarters. And seeing as the Olympics and the IIHF did approve it, you're going to see a slightly more physical brand of Olympic hockey.
It seems counterintuitive to me when the Olympic rinks are bigger than the Canadian and U.S. rinks, the North American rinks, and this Olympic rink's going to be smaller than the American one. Like, it's totally antithetical. It just doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry.
And here's
to me. I think the Italians were drinking a little bit of wine when they were designing the rink.
It's entirely possible. I'm really not sure what the North American teams, Team USA and Team Canada, are really upset about, though. This caters to all of their strengths. Like, caters directly to the North American League, the North American style game. So I'm not sure what
I think we're talking about wine again.
Fair.
I think we're talking about wine again. Yeah, it's no big deal. I don't think it's a big deal. Let's talk about. I forgot to mention some insider information. Do your CFL thing, the Riders, and then we got some other stuff, some news on the Argos.
Oh, excellent. So Trevor Harris has been signed to a 1-year contract extension with the Roughies. He was set to become a free agent in February, but fresh off the fact that he led the Riders to 25-17 win over the Alouettes, it's one of those things where it's like, well, we can't exactly let him go, and things can only get better from here. Harris has CFL career passing totals of 37,697 yards. That's 13th on the all-time list. 3,097 completions, which puts him 9th, and 204 touchdowns, which puts him 15th. His career completion percentage at 70.1% is the second best in league history. He's the West Division All-CFL quarterback. I don't see why you wouldn't re-sign him. So congratulations to Trevor on that. He is a 3-time Grey Cup champion with Toronto in 2012, Ottawa in 2016, and now as a starter in 2025. So the only way from here is up.
All right. So word is that you might remember Barker.
Yeah.
Went to Hamilton, was a Leaf GM, was a coach. He's coming back to the Argos, rumor mill says. And on top of that, Huffnagel joined them, as you know, yesterday as well. So they brought in some old veterans. Some wily old veterans. They increased the coaching age by 20 years, and now they're bringing back a bunch of older gentlemen as GMs. The youth movement is over; it's done, and there's no word where McCarthy is. He's not listed anywhere, so he might have left. He might be gone.
That's interesting. I'm looking at the fact that both Huff and Barks have been really instrumental in shaping some of the Argos' early history and some of their success. So I'm glad to see that they're going back to the well on that, but also kind of concerned because if they get too hidebound and old-fashioned, it could be detrimental.
That's not what works right now.
No, apparently not.
New ideas rule right now. That's what I'm so. Well, it is what it is, and we'll just see what happens. What it speaks to is that they were caught by surprise by the departure of Ryan Dinwiddie. That's what this shows, that they really had no idea, that they were leaning on him, and it didn't work out the way they'd hoped. And I maintain the simple fact is that pinball should be not that pinball's not a good general manager, but there should be a position for pinball that's above general manager. so that they could have afforded to give Dinwiddie that role and that pay hike, because that's what we're talking about here. When we talk about roles, we're talking about money. In the Canadian Football League, both of those things are tied together. They're chained together. So, this is the disappointment here for Argo fans, is that they lose a really good head coach who's been very, very successful, like no other head coach in recent memory with the Argos. They've had a visit of that kind of success, but not a through line like Dinwiddie had until this failed year, which I think has a lot to do with McCarthy being gone and Dinwiddie being gone.
Yeah, it's certainly a change in the complexion of the team for sure. We'll have to see how they deal with it going forward.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Habs in Caulfield.
So Caulfield got a shootout winner as the Habs beat the Jets 3-2 to snap their 2-game losing streak. This is good news for them. They've been kind of mired in a bit of a rut lately. Unfortunately, on the flip side of the coin, it doesn't really bode all that well for Winnipeg. Since Hallebuck has gone down, the Jets have been stuck in a bit of a doldrums, really. They're 3-6-1 in their last 10. The Habs needed this one. The Habs have been 4-5-1 in their last 10, and they've lost a couple before that. But Juraj Slafkovsky and Oliver Kapanen had goals in regulation. Jacob Dobas stopped 29 shots and all 3 shoot attempts. Mark Scheifele and Kyle Connor had a goal and an assist each for Winnipeg. They've lost for the 6th time in 7 games to end the 5-game road trip. This has not been the trip that they were hoping for.
No. And a lot of times trips don't end up that way. So there you go. Let's talk now about the Moose. And I guess that's the Manitoba Moose that you're talking about, the Winnipeg Manitoba Moose, the Winnipeg Jets farm team.
Yeah, on the flip side of the coin, the Manitoba Moose have won 9 of their last 11 games and have been outscoring their opponents 36-23 during that time. With Thomas Milic called up to Winnipeg Jets, Dominic DiVincentis, had the spotlight. After a difficult opening stretch of the season, DiVincentis has stepped into form. He's allowed 2 or fewer goals in 5 of his last 7 starts. He's stopped 181 of 194 shots during that span, giving up 13 goals and improving his season to a 2.52 goals against and a 914 save percentage. There's honestly, legitimately, if you look at the makeup of the Winnipeg Jets lineup, there's no reason they should be doing this bad. Even with Connor Hellebuck out, Mike Comrie has been enough of a calming influence on the back end that they shouldn't be. The unfortunate thing with this is, with the Moose going 9 out of 11 in their past games, they're going to start taking from them to try to bolster the team, and I don't think that's going to work. So it's a dicey situation for them.
Well, good for the Moose. Yeah. The Sens lose Shane Pinto, key player in their play and their good season so far.
Yeah, Shane was out in the first period due to a lower body injury. He fell to the ice after being checked along the boards by Mika Zibanejad. They said that we're going to know more this afternoon, but I haven't seen anything come across the wire. They're already without Thomas Chabot. They also didn't have forwards Lars Eller or Artem Zub available against the Rangers. Chabot is on injured reserve, while Eller and Zub are listed as day-to-day. Pinto, unfortunately, has been one of Ottawa's best forwards this season with 12 goals and 6 assists over 26 games. And to lose him as they did in the first period really didn't help their cause. It looks hopeful in the first period. They did manage to have a lead, but unfortunately, at the end of the day, 4-2 was the final.
I've been playing with my little dooflicky over here. We have also the Oilers 9-4. Maybe they found their goal scoring, which has always been their strength.
Yeah, it's been one of those touch and go things for them, really. It took a little over 2 months, but they finally found something. They picked up basically where they left off after a 4-0 win over the Kraken last Saturday. They rode their offense this time to a 9-4 rout. It's only the second time in 14 years that Edmonton has scored 9 times in a game. And it was a rather dramatic change, from being shut out 1-0 by the Wild the previous game. They got out to the fast start. It appears that we've lost your audio there, Frank.
We have?
Oh, nope, you're back. Okay. But yeah, at the end of the day, they basically blitzed the Kraken. It didn't look like the Kraken knew what had hit them. McDavid had 3 goals and an assist. Matt Savoie had 2 goals. Draisaitl had a goal and 3 assists. Bouchard had 3 assists, and Calvin Pickard looked very sharp. So, McDavid had a whopping 7 shots on the night too. So I think that definitely helped.
Yeah. Sorry about the loss in the audio. That's what I was playing with because it wasn't working right.
Ah,
Okay, the Canucks, Evander Kane situation in Vancouver, that just got messier.
yeah. Patrick Levine said, nothing's off the table when it comes to what we can do here. He's been quietly shopping, or not so quietly shopping, several veteran pieces, including Kiefer Sherwood and Evander Kane. But nobody's come calling about Kane at all. I mean, it's not hard to see why. He's just got 5 goals and 9 assists in 27 games so far this period. It's really, unfortunately, nothing to write home about. At 5-on-5, he struggled to generate sustained offense. And his physical presence, once a defining element of his game, hasn't been enough to offset the dip in his offensive production. This kind of leaves them in a tight spot. If Vancouver is determined to move on from Kane, they may have to sweeten the pot by either retaining salary or attaching a draft pick or a prospect just to make him movable. So it's a tough situation for all concerned.
This is a guy who's had so many problems with staying out of trouble. I'm not here to accuse him of anything. Believe me, no accusation here, because it's also possible trouble just follows some people. There's just sometimes there's just something about where they're at and who they are. It just doesn't seem to run away. It seems to just follow them wherever they go. And it's been the biggest problem with his hockey career is what's happened off ice. I go back to that time in I think it was him in Vegas and the chunks of money that he used and he pretended was a phone. That's inviting trouble, I think. But, nobody deserves a rough life. Hopefully things will work out for him. Troubled people are people who I can't help but feel sorry for. I know that sounds crazy, but I just do. The Canucks, so they got to make a decision. But the Vancouver is sitting on an important triple header.
Yeah, this is actually something I didn't think I'd be talking about anytime soon. But the real cool thing is the Canucks, the Golden Eyes, and the Abbotsford Canucks will all be in action this weekend. The Golden Eyes are playing a game at noon, and Vancouver and Abbotsford are both slated to play at 7. So the Golden Eyes are going to be facing the New York Sirens in their second home game of the season. 1 week prior to this game, the Golden Eyes faced the Sirens for the first time in franchise history, losing 5-1. This upcoming match is part of the Golden Eyes theme night as Kids Takeover Day, which is going to be starting at noon at Pacific Coliseum. After the Golden Eyes matinee, fans can pick between 1 of 2 games. Out in Abbotsford, the Canucks are going to be hosting their annual Teddy Bear Toss game, during which fans are encouraged to throw stuffed animals on the ice after Abbotsford's first goal. They're going to be facing the Coachella Valley Firebirds, with this being their second game against Coachella after having lost 5-2 to them back in November. And then also, the Canucks are facing the Minnesota Wild in the second half of a back-to-back. This is, going to be a day that's chock full of great sports for Vancouver fans. I'm really happy to see
I
that.
didn't hear the most important game that's being played that day, but not
Talking
in
about the Warriors?
Vancouver. Not in Vancouver, but in Miami.
Oh, which game is that?
Well, MLS Championship.
That's right.
Vancouver's in Miami. But that isn't to your point. Your point was in Vancouver. But I just wanted
and
to
also
throw
hockey.
Yeah, and okay. Well, anyway, they're playing for a championship, Aaron. I know you used to be a TFC fan, so your doppelganger in Vancouver is going to be happy about that, and good luck to them. I'm hoping the best. I think it's the German player they picked up, Miller, I think his name is.
Yep.
He was talking about playing against Messi, the greatest player in the world. He said, yep, he's the best player in the world. He can create stuff on his own. But what I really like, we played against him, and my team usually played better. So the idea is a team can beat a star if the team plays like a team. This is a conversation we have all the time about sports, Aaron, all the time. Listen, Aaron, thanks for your patience. We started a little late because of me. I was at the Legion, and we were involved in a little bit of decorating and working on the Legion. So I appreciate your patience, Aaron. And for those of you that were looking forward to the show to start at the right time, my fault it didn't. Thanks for watching, everybody. Really appreciate you, and have a great weekend. Aaron, you have a great weekend, and
Thanks, Frank.
enjoy the hockey. Good luck to Vancouver in the championship game. Keep on going, Raptors, and the Jays are signing people like crazy. I think they like the idea of having a full stadium and making a lot of money, because that's what they did this year. Thanks for watching.